Hello and welcome to Active Bryant Fitness Systems, and this video is all about gaining lean muscle on the body in which to combat and lose weight and to get healthier. Now, I've been in the fitness industry for over 25 years, been working out over 35 years, and really love fitness and lifting weights. But there's lots of misinformation out there, and many people, especially women and some guys now, get scared when you say you've got to do strength and conditioning training. Now, after a certain age, say after 20, if you're not doing strength and conditioning training, then you're reducing your body's potential of keeping fat off the body, okay? So after 25, the body starts to age, and then as you hit 40, it speeds up. And as you hit 50, 60 and 70, it speeds up even more. So really important that when you're training to gain muscle, you need to document what you're doing and understand what sort of improvement that you're getting from gaining lean muscle. Now, women cannot gain muscle like men, and then you need to be a certain body type on how you're going to gain muscle. So I found working with Indian clients, for them to gain muscle is really difficult because of their background, and most of them come from a Hindu background of eating all vegetables and not enough meat. And a lot of them have gut issues, which I found with 10 Indian clients that I've worked with over the years. So really important that if you're a female, you have to remember men have got 10 times more testosterone than you. 10 times more. So for you to gain muscle like me is near impossible. But for you to get stronger is possible. For you to look leaner in your dresses and more toned is possible too. But it depends on the training program you're doing. Does that make sense? If you're doing cardio at the beginning of your workout, or you're just doing a cardio program, you will be eating the lean muscle that you need to gain in which to keep your metabolic rate high. The metabolic rate is like the thing that burns the fat when you're eating or laying down on a sofa like a couch potato. Does that make sense? And as a woman ages, your testosterone increases a little bit, but estrogen starts to deplete. So a woman will gain more fat, especially if they're eating too many carbohydrates according to their body type. Does that make sense? Then when it comes for a man to gain lean muscle tissue, and a woman, it's averagely 8 pounds, 7 to 8 pounds a year, depending on the type of training that you're doing, okay? Now, I can get my clients to gain 20 pounds of muscle within 8 to 12 weeks, doing specific things with diet and a specific thing with training. And I've done it on myself and I've done it on clients, and it really does work. But you have to be in the mindset of you're not going to get big and bulky. Does that make sense? It's only bodybuilders that are taking anabolic steroids that have this big and bulky look. Like I'm 15 stone with 18-inch arms, but that's taken me over 30 years of natural hard training. Does that make sense? So never fear the weight room. If it's good for the Beckhams, it's good for you. Does that make sense? So they're now training. David Beckham's showing that he's been doing some power training, and his missus has been doing some Olympic lifts and stuff like that. So obviously they're working with a good trainer that understands the philosophy of keeping muscle to keep looking younger. Does that make sense? And if you're a guy, now what I get in the summer, I wear tight tops in the summer. This is quite a type. This is a cotton woolly thing, but I look quite big in it. And I tell you what I get a lot of when I'm walking, say down Battersea Park, or I'm walking down the road, or I'm going to a market, everybody looks. which is a great feeling because it just shows that the work that I put in over the 30 years is paying off. Now, many people may not want that, so you just cover up yourself so people can't see that you're in shape. Does that make sense? So gaining muscle, you need to do strength training, power training, and endurance training, but not cardio running on a machine. Does that make sense? So I, for 25 years, have never got my clients on treadmills unless they've got a heart complaint or they specifically say to me, I want to do this type of training because of my VO2 max. Now, in this book that I'm reading at the moment, or just started, I've not got onto the VO2 max bit. So this book is Smarter Not Harder, the Biohacking Guide to Getting the Body and Mind You Want by Dave Asprey. Now, if you look at Dave Asprey, he's not a muscle Mary, he's not huge, he's quite lean, but he used to be a fat bloke and changed his whole body by using different things, and he believes in biohacking. Now, Paul Chek doesn't believe in biohacking, and neither do I, but because I've never read any of his books or tried any of the systems, I thought it'd be better me try it and before I judge it. Does that make sense? So I know a lot of people wear this ring that tells you how good your sleep is and tells you this and tells you that, but a lot of it, I believe, causes more stress in your system by wearing that Whoop ring or whatever it's called. So I never buy that. I never wear that. I just go by how my body feels and naturally listen to my body. You know, if it's too tired, I don't train. If it's energized, I train. It's just as simple as that. If I have a bad night's sleep, I might only do a half an hour workout instead of an hour. Does that make sense? So I try and balance everything. So if you're new to the gym and you watch my other video, which should show up at some time, 4 days a week is optimum, not 5, 6, 7. You don't need to do that much. 5 exercises is all you really need. I know a lot of circuits are like 27 exercises, but that's when you're going to get injured and hurt yourself, in my opinion, from all the clients I've seen over the year with injury. So remember, you can stay in the 8 to 12 rep range and 5 exercises and 3 to 4 sets when you very first start to gain muscle. But after that, if you want to gain muscle, you need to mess around with program design in which to still keep gaining muscle and gaining strength. Remember, if you don't get stronger, you won't get leaner. Unless you're doing fad, stupid, idiotic calorie counting, which I don't agree with. Because I've known people that have done calorie counting, got their weight down to their ideal weight, they go back to the normal diet and then they put all the weight back on again and more. So remember, if you lose 10 pounds, you'll gain 20 pounds back when you go back to the normal diet because you're messing with your metabolism. So when you start to gain lean muscle, you may find, if you're a woman, your dresses are smaller. Your tights are not as tight on the body. Does that make sense? Because muscle takes up less room on the body than what fat does. But if you've got muscle, like when I was 12 stone, I used to take my top off and people used to go, you look about 16 stone. And that's because I had a lot amount of muscle mass. Does that make sense? So it creates an illusion. The same with the big shoulders with the small waist guy will look bigger than the guy that doesn't have a small waist and doesn't have wide shoulders. Does that make sense? So staying in the hypertrophy zone of 8 to 12, you will gain muscle. But you can't do it for weeks and weeks. You need to keep changing it around. And you'll gain more muscle and strength if you stay in 4 to 6 rep zone, more strength than size. But then you go back to the 8 to 12 in which to get a bit more size. Can you see my point? So the more that you change it around and keep the body guessing, the more it won't go, it knows the game and it isn't going to help you increase. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you need help with hypertrophy or muscle gain training, please go to my website, Active Bryant Fitness Systems, or click on the video link at the top and you can see my over 2,000 videos on many different subjects. Thank you very much for listening today. Please share, please follow, please subscribe.